Well, since 2021 just started, we're going to do a two show review by none other than Game Changer Wrestling, or as we know them, GCW. So, all of that will be discussed and reviewed on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rao. Now, before I begin, some of you are saying I'm going to reveal this. The GCW did a 2-day event, which one took place on the 31st of December of 2020, and the other on the 1st of January of 2021. Now, I was well aware of these events, but I didn't get a chance to review them because it was a holiday and all that stuff. But however, I did manage to catch up and see what they do. Now, some of you are saying, why did GCW do a show on the 31st? Well, there's a simple reason. Why not? That's a simple question. But they don't care. They just want to do it because they want to. But the final match, which was the main event, took place exactly after midnight, once we started the year 2021. So I thought it was a great match. So basically, they have these two great events. They took place, awesome ones. It took place. All both shows were in Atlantic City in New Jersey. If you guys don't know where that is, that's in the East Coast. That's like the East Coast version of Las Vegas, Nevada. So let's get started with the first show they have, Good Riddance. Okay, the show opened up with a great, kind of like a memory of Broadway. As you know, he passed away uh, not too long ago, like a week and a half ago or so. Um, as you know, AEW and many other promotions did a little in memory of, but AEW did a fantastic tribute show. But all of the GCW wrestlers came out to the ringside to do the 10 bell salute, and I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't expect that, but it was amazing, touching to start out the show, and I commend them for doing that. Now, the first match of the night is a tag team match between first team Crazy Tough Enemies, consistent of Joshua Bishop and Matthew Justice. Now, I'm not familiarized with these two guys, but from what the commentator's saying, these guys hated each other. So they decided, you know what, let's form a faction. They still don't get along, but they do know they have a priority, is to be a dominant tag team. And they were facing against Iron Beast, and consistent of KTB and Shane Mercer. Now, this particular match was more like F the rules, that type of thing. It was kind of interesting, even though the referee tried everything in his power to take control of it, but both teams were not having it, and they got rid of him. But at some point, another ref showed up and tried to take control, but it didn't end exactly how the match would want it, including the fans. It ended with a double pin, with each member pinning their opponent. So basically, both teams won by double pinfall. It's like a draw, and that doesn't work likely. So I don't know what happens next, but looks like from what, but this story does not end there. So I'll get to that in some other point. The next match we have Treehouse Lee and versus Silvia AlShabaa. I don't know who these two guys are, but from what I understand, Treehouse Lee is a very popular wrestler. From what the crowd is saying, from what the commentator is saying, that is, you know, I pay attention to what commentators say, like what did they know about them, what they're how they skill it. It was a pretty good match. It was really amazing. Now, I was a bit biased because, like I said, I don't know who these guys are, but seeing who what they can do really impressed me, and I was like, okay, pretty good. But the question was who was going to win, and the answer to that was Treehouse Lee. So he picked up the victory on this match. The next match is a intergender match between Elena Black versus that scumbag from 4400, um, Acticus Coger, along with his weasel Gregory Irons. As you know, 4400 is the Ohio faction who not a lot of the GCW fans don't like. You know, they say F Ohio, that type of thing. So anyway, much of the match was seems like, but of course, out of nowhere, Gregory Irons, this little retard with a messed up hand, shows up and tries to interfere. But they were commentators were a little concerned because, from what I understand, Elena Black had a concussion a year ago, and they were worried how she would handle it. Um, there was a moment she seems like she was okay, uh, but of course, Kroger actually put her through a table. But her effort to win the match was short. Um, Acticus Coger actually won the match and also being dismissed by dusting his feet right in front of her face. So that's who 44 They don't care. They think they're the dominant faction in all this. Now, the next match we have Calvin Tankman versus Limoriyadi. Now, Limoriyadi and Tankman, I have seen these two guys on certain occasions. Tankman has recently made his debut with MLW. Limoriyadi, I've seen him on various GCW events. It was a pretty good match. I wasn't expecting exactly. Calvin Tankman is a big dude, and you got Limoriyadi, a very athletic high flyer. I wasn't sure how it was going to end, but it was surprising that Limoriyadi was able to put Calvin Tankman in a submission. That is very rare to see. Uh, but he won the victory by that. So I'm like, wow, he impresses me so much. Now, the next match is a death match between one called Manders and versus Schlock. Now, I am familiarized with Schlock. He is a death match wrestler. I've seen him various times. It was so insane how this match was going. I'm like, damn. They were whacking each other with the light bulbs and all that. I was like, ooh. But it was insane. Now, this was not the first event that had a death match, but that's until the next one. I'll get to that later. But the real question was how this was going to end. Well, I've always did look at the one person that seems logical to me because I've seen him on various occasions on death matches, and that person is Schlock. So he won the match. Next match we have Jordan Oliver versus ACH. Now, I wasn't sure how this was going to play out. I seen Jordan Oliver mostly on MLW, but seen him on GCW. He's mostly a breakout star as a solo act kind of vibe, you know. And ACH, we all know who he is. He's been around the block over the years. So it was good too. It was a good match, you know, with two experts in high flying. But however, it was Jordan Oliver, the young kid who actually won this match. The next match is a six-way scramble match, which is a very traditional match that they normally do in their GCW events. We had Effie, Mance Warner, Cole Raddick, Blake Christian, Alley Cat, and Chris Dickinson. The match seems great at the point. But however, during a moment of Blake Christian's, some song is started being played out. And that theme song is none other than the very familiarized Leo Rush. Now, it appears Leo Rush has some unfinished business with Blake Christian. It appears he wants a piece of him. He already lost to him twice. So he's playing these mind games with them. Now, we don't know for sure if he's there or not or whatever it was, but it really got to his head. But however, the match ended with Chris Dickinson winning. Now, there was a post match headed up by Effie. He had to put a pause on the entire show because they were about to hit midnight, and everybody from the back who were still in there, they came on the ring and celebrated the new year. I thought it was a pretty good way to start out. Now the next one is the main event, which is an I Quit match between Raver and Lloyd. Now I have seen Jimmy Lloyd on various occasions, but I never got into it. But this match told a story where two good friends now turn enemies. Raver was out of action for who knows how long. He was in hospital. He came back out of nowhere and set Jimmy Lloyd on fire. And they set up this match where they have to say the two words that are too embarrassed to say. I quit. So they did everything that they could to hurt each other to ensure one of them gets to say I quit. But the best moment happened right near the end where he had Raver had Jimmy Lloyd all tied up in the wrestling ropes and the ring aprons. It was so bizarre. He was about to burn him on fire, and Jimmy Lloyd told him to burn him up. But Raver wasn't looking for that because he knew burning him wasn't going to give him the satisfaction that he needed. He wanted him to say those two words. So what he did, he used a pair of scissors and convinced him to say, I quit. But he did mention in the post match after he won his match that he's going to ensure he goes to the hospital, that he will be in pain the same way he did. So he will be his tormentor for the rest of his life as long as he's still around. So he did stated this rivalry between them is far, far from over. So the real question is, when will that happen? When will their feud will continue? And I'm kind of interested in this story a lot because it tells a story a lot for me when I hear it. So let's move on to the next show, 56 Nights. Okay, so we're here doing the second event by GCW, which is 56 Nights, which was more crazier than the first night with Good Riddance. So let's start out with the first match, Jordan Oliver versus Trey Lemar. Now, I have seen these two men before. Trey Lemar on various occasions on GCW and Warrior Wrestling. They're both great athletic wrestlers, and they put themselves to the limit. But however, the winner on this one is Jordan Oliver. My friend Nico, he actually did say that he's better off not involving himself with MLW's Injustice because he's a far more better wrestler outside as a singles competitor instead of being involved in a faction. Now the next match we had this guy I never heard of, but people know who he is when they talking about him. His name is Ken Broadway versus ACH. Now this is one strong match that I never seen before. Both these men are trying to make a name for themselves. ACH, who's trying to reinvent himself after what happened. What was it, last year or 2 years ago? No, 2 years ago, with that controversial matter with WWE. But it was a good match. It did tell the story. They deserved to be there, but however, there had to be a winner, and that winner was Ken Broadway. Now, Ken wanted to show respect to ACH, but ACH wasn't having it. He decided, be a very disrespectful prick, and he kind of gave his mind what he thought to everyone who was there. But as for Ken, he feels like he's happy to be there, that he's back, that he's going to get back at the top, and I can't wait to see more of him, what he's going to do. The next match we have is what was it? Is a match between Cold Rhetoric versus Chris Dickinson. Now, this is another good match. They both have similar styles, like a bit of catch wrestling, but I've always been paying attention with Chris Dickinson, what he can do, and my God, he's always impressive as always when I follow him. But Cole Raddick has a very big heart where he's determined to win. no matter what it takes. And it's like so intense. But however, there had to be a winner, and that winner came out to be Chris Dickinson. And I kind of predicted it a little bit, but that's how I see it. The next match we have is a tag team match between Team Bussy, consistent of Alicat and Effie, versus Crazy Tough Enemies, Joshua Bishop and Matthew Justice. Now, this is one of those matches where there's a little bit of comedy, a little bit of aggressiveness. You look at Team Bussy, they're actually the most comedic and fun team. But you look at a Crazy Tough team, they're more of the dominant force that are not here to play games. They're here to destroy anybody or anyone that gets in their way. And they did that. They actually did destroy Team Bussy and making themselves the winner of the match. Now, this match is a six-way scramble match. As I always say, they always do a six-way scramble. It's consistent, started with one called Manders, Alana Black, Steve Scott, Ellis Levi Everett, Charlie Tiger, and this other guy. I don't know who his name. I couldn't catch it clearly. It was going great from the beginning. Everything was going normal. But however, it became from a six-way to an eight-way, and it became none other than Iron Beast that make their decisions and showed up. Now, they were being the most dominant force within. But however, there was still a little bit more like, can they win as a tag team? I guess the answer to that is yes. So Iron Beast picked up the victory. But however, their little victory was short-lived because they were interrupted by none other than CTAE, which is Crazy Tough Enemies. They still had their feud with them, and they continued on all the way from the ring to the back. So and Joey Janela was saying this on commentary, it's one crazy night. So I have to agree with him on that. Next match is none other than the Southern Psycho, Mance Warner versus Calvin Tagman. This match was unbelievably good because you look at Mance Warner, he's one tough SOB, versus Calvin Tagman, a very dominant force guy. You want to get out of his way, but you don't know how this was going to play out. Like, I'm a huge fan of Mance Warner. I've always have, when I saw him in MLW. So, but Mance Warner went up to his limits with a guy like him. So he won the match like anything. Next match we have Limoriyadi versus Blake Christians. Now, this match was ultimately good with their unique styles of wrestling, how they do it with their high flying and all this. I enjoyed every moment of it. But however, once again, the mind games from none other than Lio Rush appeared out of the blue. You don't know what to expect with that guy, what he was planning. But even though I don't know if this was Leo's rush to ensure that Blake Christian Blake Christian to lose the match, but it backfired. It did allow Blake Christian to win his match. But however, in post-match, he put out a promo saying the Limoriyadi is the shit, that type of thing. But it turns out that his beef with Lio Rush is far more serious than he thought. He doesn't know what to think. So he's telling him, I beat you twice. So he's telling him to stop playing around. If you're going to be there. Or else. So it looks like this feud is going to escalate even a little further more. Now let's get to the main event, which is my favorite one, a death match. Now originally this was supposed to be for the GCW World Heavyweight Championship between 44-0 leader Ricky Shane Page, or as they call him, RSP, versus Alex Colon. Now Alex Colon, he's a master of death matches, so it became clear that RSP couldn't be there due to family emergency. So he sent his goon, Atticus Koger, to do his dirty work. And again, once again, Koger brought his little weasel, Gregory Irons, once again to help him out. The match was already set with tables, ladders, and chairs, light bulbs, glass windows types things. All the toys you need to put someone in an intense pain. But of course, there was a moment where Gregory Irons tried to get involved as much as possible, but it was in fact Cologne who took him out by applying a Spanish fly on him, going through a glass window. Yeah, so he took him out as like, thank God, F you. So that's kind of the kind of thing the commentators were saying. But the real question is, can Koger actually prove himself to be the prince of death or hardcore matches? That's what he claimed he is to be. But Alex Colon has been a master at it for a couple years, from my understanding. But he pulled it off. He took him out by using multiple shots of light bulbs, allowing him to be in pain, and then put him in a submission to make him tap out. And that's exactly what he did. But once he was leaving, he sent a message to RSP that he is coming for him. So I don't know what RSP is thinking now that his boy lost his match, and I'm sure he is not too thrilled with the result. Now, I hope you guys enjoy me reviewing these shows because if you guys are not fans of GCW, you should check them out. They normally put out their shows on Fight TV, which is FITE TV. You can set up an account by either using your login to your Facebook or Google or whatever it is that they set it up. You only have to pay like whatever. You don't have to pay monthly subscription. All you got to pay is the show itself. So it depends on the price. You guys can get to see them. There's plenty you can see from GCW. But if you are not interested, you can look it up in watchwrestling.la. So they post some of their events there, not a whole lot. So the choice is yours. So, hope you guys enjoyed me reviewing GCW. Stay tuned for Tuesday Wrestling, Wrestle Kingdom, both days, and of course, more of the Japanese wrestling promotions, such as All Japan Pro Wrestling and DDT Pro Wrestling, and now down the line others that may come across. So, for now, I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.